So I know the Duelist Cup just started and all, but I figured I should knock out this Master 1 real quick with Dragon Link, the deck I've been playing a lot since the ban list dropped, and I've been basically relearning and de-rusting with this deck, because I know most people are probably rusty with Dragon Link since it's been a while since we had Wyverburster legal, so I figured I'd do a video on how to navigate combo lines with this deck, or I guess it's more of how I personally combo with this deck right now. And yeah, I've been using this build, and I'm gonna be straight up front. This build isn't exactly optimal. Most likely, I can show you cards to cut later on that can reduce the deck size and get it closer to 40 cards. I'm just playing this build to because this build basically plays all of the combo pieces and enablers, and this is basically like a YouTube combo video deck, where I'm basically trying to combo as hard as possible, and I've gotten my timer down below 30 seconds several times doing that, so that's been fun. And yeah, basically this deck got Wyverburster back, and I really cannot stress how important this card is to the deck. Unbanning this basically unbanned like 3 or 4 other cards in the deck, namely Chaos Space. So before, when Wyverburster was banned, Chaos Space was not worth running, because even though it could add Rebellion, that was really only the only good search target you could use with this, and you were going -1 to search for Rebellion, and you weren't even guaranteed to get back the Chaos Space draw a lot of the times. So yeah, it's also was big important part was it wasn't a starter, so Chaos Space turned from a card that didn't get your play started to a card that's now literally the best starter in your deck now. So yeah, that's really important for helping the deck play through Disruption as well, because before the deck was way more reliant on its normal summon resolving, and that obviously that's very precarious when you go second. You're very vulnerable to getting your more normal summon removed, and just having 3 or 4 extra copies of a starter that doesn't require your normal summon and is full combo by itself, huge for playing through Disruption. And speaking of playing through Disruption, Druiswurm to 3, not something I really expected, but this definitely helps, and it's definitely the Bystial that helps the most out going second, because on top of being a Bystial and being like a DD Crow type hand trap thing, Druiswurm is also a board breaker, and as long as you start the turn with Druiswurm on the field, it kind of just threatens the interruptions by itself. Because all you gotta do is you can link this off, or you can synchro with it off, or you could just simply sack it for Rebellion, and that already eats an interruption from your opponent's board without you doing anything, without you committing any plays pretty much, and without you obviously spending your normal summon. So yeah, that's why I've been maxing out on Druiswurm. Not really necessary to max out 3 copies. Again, I'll discuss cards that you can cut from this deck list later, but yeah, Druiswurm is definitely also helps with the deck playing through interruptions and going second as well. So to explain more of the deck choices in this deck, so 3 Black Metal and 3 Seyfert. Again, you don't need to run max copies of these either, especially since you have more copies of starters now. You don't need to max out on all of these starters that are also normal summons, but I just want to open a starter. I don't want to I want to open one of my good starters. I want to Black Metal Dragon is a good starter. Any access to Wyverburster or Cloud Servant is also a good starter. You don't want to just start your plays by normal something like a Rocket Tracer. That's when you that's like a weak hand that still plays way worse into Disruption than you have to. So yeah, and drawing these together honestly isn't even that bad, because with the way Dragon works is you always go through Romulus to search Dragon Ravine, and then you always have to discard a card for Dragon Ravine. So if you draw Black Metal and Starliege Seyfert together, even though they're both normal summons, you can just simply, over the course of your combo, just start with Black Metal Dragon, and then discard Seyfert for Dragon Ravine, and then you can revive Seyfert later with Pisty. So that's how this deck doesn't really have the problem of clogging with multiple starters that are normal summons, since you can just make use of them later with the Pisty and discarding them with Ravine. And Seyfert also is something I picked up more of when I played this deck when Wyverburster was banned, but Seyfert doesn't just search the baby dragons, it has other search targets as well. For example, if you open Seyfert plus basically any other Bystial, it also gets you a version of a full combo that also searches the belly in the process, since you send one of your Bystials, get Saronir, special the Saronir, link off the Saronir and Seyfert into like Striker and Romulus. The Saronir dumps the Bellion, and then because the Seyfert now is in the grave, you can use Seyfert to add back to the Bellion, and then you have essentially your full combo line going through the Bellion without having to go through Wyverburster. So if you already opened like a Chaos Space to search one of these, then you can use Seyfert in a different way, or vice versa. And also, I do this a lot when I go for the greedy combos, where Seyfert can actually search Labrynth in your combo to get as a hand loop. And you can do that through basically sending the Bishop Lubellion that you already used on field. So you summon the Lubellion, then Lubellion places your Regain or your Beast, and then you send the Lubellion with the Seyfert to the grave after already using it. And then you search Labrynth, and then you special Labrynth, you hand loop your opponent for 1, and if you place Regain, that automatically just guarantees you trigger the Regain as well, even if you didn't have another way to trigger it. So yeah, you'll definitely see some combo lines in this video where I do that. And spoilers, this card kind of helps with those lines, so I'll talk about this card later. Or maybe I'll talk about it right now, because the Black Metal package, also we're running the Black Meteor Dragon as well. I think you have to run this if you're running the Black Metal Dragon package. It's just too much value now, and honestly, a lot of times I don't summon this using its own effect. And a trick, how I make Atum so much in my combos is that I make use of Romulus's secret effect, where if you link summon a monster, an extra deck monster, to the zone this card points to, basically you just make a Striker Dragon to the zone that Romulus points to. You can special summon a dragon monster from your hand. That it negates its effects, and then you can't use it as a link material. However, you can summon Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon this way, and when you do so, this stays as a level 6. Because when you summon this with its own effect by sending Driver, normally it's a level 7, so that's not. You can use it as link material, but that's not useful for synchro plays or Xyz plays. But if you can summon this off Romulus to keep it retain it as a level 6, that makes it much easier to make a Tomb, since you get a level 6 value out of it. It also makes it Dissipator plays very much easier, because you also get a level 6 body that way as well. And yeah, for the Rocket package, so 2 Tracer and Recharger are mandatory, obviously, and I'm running the Caliber. Again, this Caliber is also probably not necessary. You don't need to run this, and it's not bad if you draw Recharger and Tracer together, even if you don't run the Caliber. You can just summon them both with Boot Sector Launch, since this lets you summon up to 2 rocket monsters with different names from your hand, so it's not detrimental if you draw a Recharger anyway, so this really isn't necessary. I'm just playing it, just as it's an extender sometimes, and it helps, like especially on your end board, when you have Borderland and like a Druiswurm, for example, you can Borderland revive the Tracer, and then if you have a secondary target for Tracer, you can then pop the Druiswurm as an interruption. But that doesn't really come up, so like I haven't really made use of this card more than just like a random extender I draw that sometimes I played. But yeah, it's not terrible, but you can definitely play this deck without this. And the Bystial package and Magnamut and Saronir are the best ones, and then triple Druiswurm. Don't need 3, but however, it is nice for playing second. And the 1 Baldrake. So the Baldrake is also a card that I would not deem as necessary, because when you're full comboing, this is definitely not necessary, because then it just basically adds like a 7th or 8th interruption on your 6th to 7th interruption board already. You never really need it that way. It's only really kind of important if you get like stopped by Handtraps or Max Eat, for example, but you have a Magnamut search and you have a really like small board, like Seal's Pass, for example. Then having the Baldrake search from the Magnamut helps a little bit, because it gives you an extra layer of protection. It's a card that they have to respect and like play around, so they can't just go full ham into your board if you have limited interruptions. It's like Quen versus Branded, for example, right? Like if you're playing against Branded and there's Quen with an Alabazin grave, you don't really want to commit to the extra deck. Like, while there's an Alabazin grave, because then they'll just summon back the Alabazin and make a Mirror Jade to fuse your stuff. Like, this is a similar way where you don't really want to commit to an extra deck monster, and then just having it banished by Baldrake, so they oftentimes will try to enter battle phase and try to deal with this first, and that can buy you a turn, which is Much better than the alternative, which is like often just dying, but this is the least necessary of the Bystials. Then 3 Lebellion, 2 Chaos Base, and then Branded Beast I also run. This is also a card that people deem is cuttable, which I can see it. Like it's definitely not a good draw at all, especially when you go second. This is the last card you want to see going second in your hand. But Branded Beast is actually a pretty decent interruption in this format. There's a lot of good stuff you can hit. Like against Fire Kings, you can hit the Sanctuary so that they never get the Fire King Island, for example. Against Yubel, they have Nightmare Throne, they have Spirit Gaze, they have Nightmare Pain, like just a bunch of continuous spells you can just hit with this, where a lot of other interruptions you have don't interact that much with the spell and traps. You know, Voices, obviously, Voices has a lot of continuous spells to hit with Branded Beast. Tier, normally Branded Beast isn't that great versus Tier, but if they're playing the pile 60 cards build, or if they're playing Horus, then they give you a really juicy target for Beast in the King Sark. So yeah, this is a pretty nice as a form of interruption, and going second, it's honestly, sometimes it's better going second than going first, because you can place this as a way to just to deal with interrupting on your opponent's board. For example, let's say you go Lebellion, search Druiswurm, summon itself, send the Druiswurm to Lebellion, get rid of interruption that way, and then threaten placing Beast, which Beast will get rid of another interruption, and then you've dealt with like 2 interruptions without literally committing anything, with just 1 card, no normal, no nothing. And if you can get this far, you can also go into like a Hieratic Seal, and then tribute the seal with Beast, and then you can E-Telly from your deck while getting rid of interruption. And that going Beast tribute seals plays through like a ton of interruptions if you can do so. And for like the non-engine choices, besides Maxi and Ash, which are staple, and then Gamma, which is required when you run Red Ice Black Meteor Dragon, I'm choosing to run Valor over more copies of Infirm, just because there's way too much synergy with Valor being the light monster in this deck. You know, like for Chaos Space, for Bystials, keeping your Bystials alive. Even if you're against a matchup where you really can't Bystial anything, having a Valor at least opens up these cards to still be extenders. And obviously, when you're playing a lot of Bystials, sometimes having Imperm plus Bystials conflicts a little, because you want to use the Imperm first before the Bystial. But if you're playing against something like Tier, for example, you may want to hit the Tier name out of the grave before you get a chance to Imperm anything, so Valor doesn't have that confliction. Also, same with Gamma as well, and Imperm, and yeah, it's like a marginal choice, doesn't really affect most games. Imperm is the better hand trap out of the 2, so you don't have to max out on copies of Valor. You could just run Imperm instead, like a normal person. But yeah, I haven't been disappointed with playing more copies of Valor over Imperm. And for the extra deck, so most of the extra deck is required. So Savage, Dissipator, Pisty, 2 Striker, Seal, Romulus, IP, SP, Triple Burst, and Whirlwind. Every single one of these extra deck monsters are required. So there's not really much to say about that. I'll go over the flex spots that I chose. So first off, Chaos Angel. A lot of people run Baron in this slot, and so what this slot is this is not an end board piece. Your level 10 synchro that you should go into when you go first, 99% of the time should be Dissipator. If you're making a level 10 synchro that's not Dissipator in your first turn combo, then you're probably doing something wrong, or you're trying to force something. Even if you run Baron, it's not worth it to go for a Baron in your first turn combo, because Dissipator is just better. It's an interruption, but also it's like an extender in 2 different ways. Number one, it literally summons a banished monster, so it literally gets you another body as an extender. And number 2, you can feel free to link this off, or use it as an extender, use it as link material, or send it for Bystial Lebellion, because it's also level 6 or higher Dark Dragon. So that way you can make use of the body from Dissipator, because it'll simply revive itself with Regain on your opponent's turn as well. So you can basically get like 2 extra link material, or like combos material with Dissipator, with the extra body it summons back, and the fact that you can use Dissipator itself without like feeling too too bad about linking it off. Whereas, you know, if you made a Baron, you're obviously not making a Baron and then linking the Baron off. Like that, there's no point in doing that. So I think the combos are just way better when you don't go for level 10 other level 10 synchros. This slot is mainly for when you're going second and you stuck a Bystial on the field, right? And then the Bystial plus any level 4 monster can make your level 10 synchro. I chose Chaos Angel in this slot because now with the baby dragons, there's like so many more level 4 monsters in the deck besides just Rocket Tracer that all of them can help make Chaos Angel to just break your opponent's board, especially if you have a Druiswurm on the field. Druiswurm in the Chaos Angel breaks like 2 interruptions, and then you can also like chain block Druiswurm from stuff like Apple or Phantom of Yubel with the Chaos Angel, and then the Chaos Angel, if made with, you know, a Seyfert or Wyverburster, is actually immune to those as well, so it just eats up your opponent's board without, again, committing too many resources, whereas Baron is better if you can get to it, but Baron you can only make with Rocket Tracer or Quick Launch, so it's a bit more specific. But if you want to run Baron as Silver Chaos Angel, I understand it. This is your like you're going second. It's your slot for helping you go second. And Atum, so I'm playing Atum because I want to YouTube combo people, so I will show you a combo or two that involves Atum. And this is the closest thing we're gonna get to Chaos Ruler lines by going through Atum, because you still can do some heinous stuff. Well, by summoning any dragon monster from your deck. You know, who'd have thought LP is a good card? And sometimes it just randomly comes up as an extender, because when people hand trap you, they're oftentimes hand trap the Romulus or the Ravine to prevent you from getting access to Rocket Tracer. So if your hand just has a bunch of Bystials in it, you know, you could if your opponent prevents you from getting Tracer normally, you can just put 2 Bystials into a tomb, summon Tracer from your deck, go from there. It's like, and then your opponent's pretty upset about that. Yeah, the next slots are Dharc and Dillingerous. So Dharc, first of all, I think Dharc is I'll get to Dillingerous later, because I know Dillingerous is very contentious, but Dharc is I think it's very necessary in this deck. So the main thing is that you kind of need a link 2 with downward diagonal pointing arrows like this in order to combo. And sometimes, you know, you can't get to Romulus. Sometimes you already, like for example, if you already gone through Romulus and your opponent dealt with it or removed it or something, or if sometimes you're Dharc locked, in which case you can't go to Romulus at all, then Dharc is like the most generic link 2 you can go into for the arrows, since IP has its own restrictions in that you can't make it with link monsters, which importantly, that means you can't make IP if you already made with a Striker Dragon, so that's sometimes that's really annoying, and sometimes that cuts you off from being able to go into IP, whereas Dharc still lets you go into it and then combo from there. It also oftentimes will get you another body, so it facilitates you going into triple burst immediately thanks to the body it summons, so you can combo off from there. Also, its search effect comes up where you can basically crash Dharc and search black metal and combo from there too. So that's another way. If you, for example, if you just have a bunch of Bystials in hand but you don't really have engine, you can go into Dharc, crash it, search black metal, combo main phase 2, and so on. But that comes up a few times. And I played this over access code, since this came up way more than access code for me. And what also came up more than access code for me was Dillingerous. And I know this was something I ran, you know, when Wyverburster was banned and the deck was a lot weaker and had a lot less extenders. So going into Dillingerous place felt a bit more necessary. Now, obviously, you don't need to go into this as much. In fact, pretty much any time I open Seyfert into a black metal into a baby dragon, or I have a chaos base into a baby dragon, or sometimes if I even have black metal plus like a Bystial, I don't really go to the Dillingerous play. This is for when you're really down bad and you're doing stuff like, I don't know, Rocket Tracer plus Bystial to combo. Well, if you only have those two and you only have 2 dragon bodies, this is the only way you're gonna get to any sort of end board is with Dillingerous. Or if your opponent like hand traps you, or like, you know, Ash is a chaos base, Ash is a Seyfert, and you're low on extenders, then sometimes you have to rely on Dillingerous to make any board that's not just Steel's Pass. And honestly though, if you don't want to run this and just end on Steel's Pass in those situations, that's fine too. But there were 2 interactions I noticed with Dillingerous that sold me on keeping this in the extra deck, and one of them is the 1.5 card combo with Black Metal Dragon, where it's just Black Metal plus 1 discard. If and only if you play Dillingerous, you can end on Borland, Savage, and Dissipator. So I thought that was kind of neat, and I'll show you that combo in a bit later. And also, Dillingerous banishes itself after it arrives the second time, which you might think it's a downside, but actually no. Dillingerous banishing itself is a positive. So one example is, for example, you only have 1 Bystial, but you only have 1 Lubellion, and you don't have access to, you know, the baby dragons or another Bystial, then you can't really trigger regain, so you don't get the draw. But if you go through the Dillingerous route, then Dillingerous obviously banishing itself does trigger the regain draw for you, so you get a free draw that way. And also, if you don't, even if not for regain, sometimes in your combo lines you will use Dissipator to bring back, say, a banished Striker Dragon that you banished from the Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and that if you don't have, you know, another Bystial, or you don't have, again, the baby dragons, then that's your only banished card. So even though you can make Dissipator, it wouldn't have an interruption because you remove your only banished card, or you summon back your only banished monster. Which, if you go through Dillingerous, again, the Dillingerous banishing itself sets up the Dissipator to be live, even if you use Dissipator as an extender on your only banished monster. So yeah, that's a couple things, you know, triggering regain and making Dissipator a live interruption that ultimately, among like also going through weak hands is why I'm just still playing this in the extra deck. And although it's not necessary, I think let's just say I've gone into Dillingerous more than I would have wanted to go into Access Code, which is what I would have used as the 15th slot over this. And yeah, to cut down the deck size, some people they've just cut the entire Black Metal Dragon package, which is like 4 to 5 cards, and that obviously alone reduces your deck size by quite a bit. But if you still want to play these, then I've seen people not max out on Starliege Seyfert, because now you with babies and with the Chaos base you have more copies, so you don't need that many normal summons. And obviously you cut down a Caliber, for example, you cut down on Bystials, for example. Baldrake is not necessary, and you don't need 3 Druiswurm, since there are decks where Bystials aren't that great against Fire King Snake Eyes, so you may not want to draw Bystials all the time, especially in multiples. And then obviously Beast is a card that you can cut, since most of the time you're going for regain over Beast. And then Veilers, again, you can cut down copies of Veilers too, and then suddenly you're already at 42 cards, and this is like a respectable deck size that you know, lets you not lose as hard into Maxi. So if you wanted to cut down the deck size, it could look something like this. But anyway, let's get on to the part of the video you were waiting for, which is the combos. So this is the 1.5 card combo with Black Metal Dragon. This is the biggest end board you can make with basically just Black Metal Dragon if you play Dillingerous in your extra deck. So normal summon Black Metal. This is the starting steps are the exact same, because there's only really one thing you can do, which is normal summon Black Metal and link it off into Striker. And we're just gonna skip past the maxi minigame part. That's not part of the combo. But yeah, special the Darkness Metal by banishing the Striker, reborn back the Black Metal, not hard once per turn, by the way, or not a once per turn at all, to be honest. So now you can get a second surge, and here you're gonna add Meteor Black Dragon, and Romulus is gonna add Ravine, and then I'm gonna use Ravine, pitch any card. Here I'll pitch the Dead Side from Gear Gamma, and send Absol Router. Absol Router gets Striker, and activate Boot, special Striker, and then Striker, pop, Boot. And here's where it differs. This is the line that I don't see most people doing. So you're going to link one of them into Pisty into the Romulus zone. Romulus' secret effect is going to special summon Meteor Black Dragon. This way, Meteor Black Dragon is a level 6. If you special summon, again, if you just special summon Meteor Black Dragon by sending a driver with its own effect, it would be a level 7 and it wouldn't work. But now, because you get the summoning of Romulus, it's level 6. That means 6 plus 4 with Striker Dragon makes Dissipator. Now Dissipator, revive the Striker Dragon into the zone to the far left, or into basically the other zone that Romulus points to. Now you have the Pisty arrows because of the Striker Dragon that you banished initially from the Red Eyes Darkness Meadow. And now you get to use Pisty to bring back the Red Eyes Darkness Meadow. And here you get to do Dillingerous, because now you have enough bodies to go into the Dillingerous combo. Striker, pop Dillingerous, add Recharger back, and then Recharger sends itself to reborn the Striker Dragon, or itself, doesn't really matter which one, and then the Dillingerous will revive up because you special summon the Rocket from the grave, and then these three make Borderland, and Borderland negate the Striker, negate the Tracer, bring back the Recharger, make Savage, and here you go. So with just Red Eyes, with just Black Metal Dragon and any discard, you can end on Borderland, Savage, plus Dissipator. And the cool thing about this is, even though you went to the Dillingerous line, normally Dillingerous requires you to use 2 Striker Dragons because you need to make the second one to pop, but here, because you made Dissipator, Dissipator can just bring back the original Striker Dragon that he banished, so you don't lose any resources that way. That way you still have the Striker Dragon in your extra deck, the second one, as follow-up. And also, even though you did use Dissipator to summon from Banish, because Dillingerous banishes itself, it still fulfills, it still gives you a Banish monster in your a Banish monster for you to use with Dissipator. So Dissipator also has a live interruption as well. And here Maxi send it, yeah, you can see who we're playing against, which is going to be Flu, so that doesn't matter. Now, here's a funny thing about Flu, that obviously they're not going to beat this with their hand, but Dissipator can mess with Flu, because Dissipator can put back the Flu monsters back into their main deck, so they lose the resources. I didn't really get to show off this combo this game, because their hand literally cannot beat a Borderland Dragon, so they're gonna Prosperity after revealing Duality. I know the last 2 cards in hand because they added them off Duality and Goldstar, or added them off Swallow's Cowrie and Duality, so I can just feel free to negate the Prosperity, so there's no Dark Ruler shenanigans, and this is just gonna get negated by Borderland, and that's gonna be it. Although, finally, I really wanted to use Dissipator, put back the Rabina to negate the Eaglin. That way they don't get the Rabina and the Eaglin gets negated anyway. That I should have probably done that. That would have been way more humorous than Borderland. Even if it wasn't better, but yeah. So these next few combos are gonna be me showing how I would play through basically example or test hands. So with this hand, right, well, probably should have used Regain first, but I plays Regain now, because, just have Regain on the field as early as possible to potentially play around stuff like Bystials. But yeah, normal summon Black Metal Dragon. I don't use Chaos Space yet, so I go into Striker Dragon, do the same old, see if I can bait out Interruption first, because this hand can play through a hand trap pretty easily. So go into Red Eyes, put back the Striker Dragon, draw a card, draw a second Druiswurm, and now I have my free Chaos Space discard, so that worked out nicely. And I'm gonna Veiler the Red Eyes Darkness Meadow, and I'm fine with that. I don't no need to call by this, because this hand easily plays through that. Since now I can simply Chaos Space, ditch Druiswurm, and here's where I get hit by Ash, and that's what we want to use the call by for. It's called by, because having the Chaos Space resolve is much more important than having the Red Eyes Darkness Meadow Dragon revolve. And especially because we can simply revive the Black Metal Dragon later on in turn as well to get the second surge as well. So if Black Metal Dragon's Darkness Metal getting negated when you have an extender is not a big deal. So we're gonna special summon Wyverburster, go into Romulus, Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, add Collapse Serpent and Dragon Ravine, then special Collapse Serpent by banishing Wyverburster, and now I will use Chaos Space to put back the Wyverburster. You do this, that way the Collapse Serpent, when it gets linked off, gets me to search the Wyverburster again. And the Wyverburster then will give you a free discard for Ravine. Because we're only running 1-in-1, because the Wyverburster is limited, so this is how you can still maintain card advantage off the babies with the use of Chaos Space. And then you link off the Collapse into Pisty, and here Collapse will get you the Wyverburster that we put back with Chaos Space, and now you use Ravine to discard the Wyverburster as the free discard to send Absol Router, and Absol Router will get Rocket Tracer. And here, since we drew into Lebellion off the Chaos Space, because we're that good, we use you add Magnamuts, banish their Veiler, special Magnamut, and here use Magnum's effect. Here's where I misplay. So I forgot Lubelia. For some reason I didn't summon I didn't summon back with Lubelia. I didn't know if I forgot to or whatever. But yeah, Lubellion definitely should have been summoned back at that point, and then I should have linked it off. But yeah, I apparently I just forgot. So you make triple burst, and then Pisty will revive the Black Metal Dragon from earlier, and then these two will make spheres. And you can make spheres because I have enough extenders. You have Druiswurm, I have the Rocket Tracer that I haven't used with Boost Sector launch yet, and this Black Metal Dragon. Don't forget, we haven't searched Black Meteor Dragon yet. So you can link off the Black Metal Dragon, it will search Black Meteor Dragon, and then that will get you another free extender. So because of that amount of extenders, you get to make a Hieratic Seal and still as a bonus on your end board. So now I use Boot Sector Launch to summon the Tracer, and Tracer will pop the boot, summon Recharger, and I'll special Druiswurm, banishing the Triple Burst. Very importantly, banish the Triple Burst in this scenario, because we're going to make a Dissipator, and then Dissipator is going to bring back the Triple Burst. That way, now you have 5 Link Material on board, because you brought back the Triple Burst with the Dissipator. When in situations like this, when you're about to make a Dissipator, think about what you're banishing, because you will be able to make use of it. And oftentimes, if you made the seals before, you will want to banish a Triple Burst to bring back, because that gives you the most link rating back. And now I link into the second Striker Dragon, which is fine because the first one we put back with the regain. So now I can search Black Meteor Dragon, special Black Meteor, dump Driver, and now you can make a Boral end with Striker, Black Meteor, and Boral, and Triple Burst. That way you maintain the Recharger on the field, and now you can target the Recharger with the Boral end to summon back the Recharger and make a Savage. And here's okay, so here's where I realized I'm like, oh wait, whoops, I haven't summoned back Lubellion yet this entire time. My bad. Summon Lubellion, place Random Beast. You could just see that we should have summoned Lubellion earlier. If we did summon Lubellion earlier, we would be the same board, except we would also have the Dissipator on the field. So essentially this hand, when played properly, gets you Seals, Savage, Borland, Beast, Regain, Dissipator on field with obviously a Magnetbud Engrave as follow-up to summon off the Regain when your opponent summons anything. So that is the maximum end board you can end on with this deck, basically. Oh, and of course the Magnetbud Search for a Baldric. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seal can summon a Druiswurm from deck, which can also be used to tribute either with the Striker Dragon you bring back off World or the Baldric. So that's like 7 to 8 interruptions plus follow-up, and our opponent has 3 cards in hand. So yeah, classic Dragon Link stuff, and that's how I would sequence this hand. And now it's just a formality. So they summon back Sakatama, thank you for the Dissipator, and now I just pop this via. Don't even play into tactics. Why would I need to? But yeah, now they had 1 card in hand, and I have 7 negate still. So here's essentially another test hand, which is, again, we open Black Metal plus Regain, and then we have Collapse Serpent plus Baldric. Now the Collapse Serpent right now you might think is a bit dead, which that is true, but we can easily make this live later. So Black Metal plus Regain, and then link it off, go into Striker. Our opponent's on 60 cards, so they probably don't have an interruption because the pile decks don't really run that many hand traps. And then you can do the same old Striker Metal Dragon. Now here, so I don't actually put back the Striker Dragon with the Regain. Why? Because I actually want to put the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent back in my deck with Regain. That way, as mentioned before, that way when I summon the Wyverburster and link out the Wyverburster, I can search another Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, and then I have that extra card in the hand for free. So no need to use the Regain on the Striker right now. It's not a pressing issue. I don't need to draw another extender or anything. My hand is pretty live as is. So it's already good enough to combo. So Romulus and Black Metal. Now I'll add Ravine, and I'll add Black Meteor Dragon. And here I'll summon Black Meteor Dragon, sending the Driver. That's how you make Collapse Serpent live. Basically, if you can get if you have Black Metal Dragon, Black Metal can just make your Collapse Serpent live. So pretty easily. And now you link out the Black Serpent into Pisty, and this will get me my Wyverburster search. Wyverburster is going to banish the Collapse Serpent, and now I put back the Collapse Serpent with the regain to draw a card. And I was going to link off the Wyverburster so that I can add Black Dragon Collapse Serpent in order to have a discard for Ravine, but I drew a better discard for Ravine, which is Seyfert. So I don't actually need to link off the Wyverburster right now. And I'll pitch Seyfert for Ravine to send Absol Router, and then get the Tracer, and link these two into Triple Burst, and Pisty will revive the Seyfert. Okay, and now I will link these two into Seal, and then Seyfert, I'll send the Baldrake to add Magnamut. So maybe there was a way to get to Lebellion, although I didn't really see one that got me both Lebellion and Tracer. But since I already have Regain, I'm okay with just adding Magnamut, because Magnamut plus Hard Draw and Regain is just the same as Lebellion, basically. So yeah, I'll just send the Baldrake, don't really need the Baldrake, and then Magnamut banish the Triple Burst. Again, very important banishing the Triple Burst, because this is a Dissipator play if I ever saw one. So Tracer summon itself, pop the Boot Sector, get the Recharger, go into Dissipator, bring back the Triple Burst, and then link these three into Borderland, because of the Triple Burst being a link 3, and then I get to add the Collapse from just follow up, Borderland, target a Recharger, and go into Savage Dragon. And here, this is basically the majority of the end board. All this end board is missing is the Branded Beast, but you have Dissipator, Borderland, Seal, Savage, and a Bystial in hand, which is Baldrake. And now I will max C. And my opponent, okay, so they're on Horus. Obviously, big surprise. I will negate with Savage, and they do Forbidden Droplets, send 3. Send 3. They're going all in on this. And what did they draw? Okay, so negate these 3. And what do they draw? Okay, add Kingsark. Thrust. They drew a Thrust off their 1 draw. They drew Thrust into the grass. Like, 60 card duelists are basically the best players in the world, because I will never be able to draw this well when I play a 60 card deck. So now they're gonna do their thing, and I still have plenty of interruptions in hand, because, well, first of all, I have Maxi, so basically because I'd resolved Maxi, this game is over. So unfortunately, it's one of those games where where the board doesn't even matter because of the Maxi I have, even though they can break it. But yeah, I can just Bystial their Tearlament stuff, attack, and then I use Seals, then I use Seals bounce back my Baldrake, because no need to trigger any of my opponent's effects, right? Just summon something from deck as chump blocker. They can clear my whole field. I don't really care, because I can just get it all back next turn. And now they're gonna continue to go with Zombie Vampire, summon back the Dissipator. I didn't use Dissipator at all, so I was waiting for them to clear my Dissipator. That way, main phase 2, when they start playing again, I can regain, bring back the Dissipator. I get another extra interruption on top of that. And they have a Snow, so Dissipator is it's just gonna trade the Snow, but I'm willing to trade 7 cards in the graveyard for the Dissipator, which is fine. So yeah, you can keep the Snow on field. Then S can get Ash. They're not really gonna deck me out because I have 27 cards in deck still. And then they're gonna Dharc, summon back the Red Eyes. Red Eyes effect, bring back the Strudo. Funny. Going to SP, banish Seals. I don't know why you banish Seals in this scenario. What? Okay, sure, whatever. And I'm gonna regain back the Seals anyways. I don't know why you didn't just hit regain at that point. Snow again, and yeah, going to Redoer. Don't really care. They're spinning their wheels. But here I finally draw into another Bystial, so now I can Bystial the Snow, and they can Druiswurm. Sure, I don't. Yeah, they were out of graveyard, out of plays. Basically, the lesson of this duel is none of that. My end board did not matter at all because I drew Maxi. So clearly Maxi is the best part of the Dragon Link end board, as it is with most end boards. So this is pretty much the best hand for comboing this deck can produce, and it goes through everything I want to show in terms of combo potential with this deck. So you have a Bystial Black Metal Dragon plus a second Bystial in Lubellion. So already, you know, you know that's insane. So I'm gonna use Lubellion first, see if I can bail a Gamma, but obviously they don't. But since I already have Magnum, I can search Sarnir, so I can even do that, afford to do that. And now Black Metal Striker. This is the start of this. Is the same as with every Black Metal combo. So add a Red Eyes, special banish Strikers, summon back Black Metal, linking to Romulus. Now, if you were trying to play really safe, you could have just summoned Lubellion at that point, and then place Regain, play around potential Nibiru. I'm not playing around Nibiru in this combo. I'm doing this for the YouTube combo. I'm going as far as I can, which means that you don't actually want to summon Lubellion back in that case, because you'll see what I do with it later. So Romulus 1, Black Metal 2, add the Meteor Black Dragon, add the Ravine, and then Ravine, I will simply discard the driver. No longer has use to me. Send Absol, add Tracer, and then boot, summon Tracer, going to Pisty in the zone, Romulus, second effect, special Black Meteor, special Sarnir, banishing the driver. Overlay these two into Atum. Okay, here's what the Atum lines entail. So, basically, most of the time you make it with a Black Meteor Dragon and another Bystial, since a Black Meteor Dragon is a free surge, and then all you need is another Bystial to do this. So I'm gonna send Sarnir, summon Seyfert, send Regained, you know, because I can just afford to do that. This hand's that crazy. Going to Triple Burst with Atum plus Romulus, Pisty, bring back the Tracer, and now Romulus or Triple Burst plus Pisty, going to Seals, and here Magnum, banishing Triple Burst again, classic banishing the Triple Burst because we're gonna get this back later, and Magnum effect and Tracer. So here's I actually misplayed. I actually kind of misplayed here because I forgot to use Tracer's effect. I got so lost in the sauce that I forgot to use Tracer's effect to summon Recharge from deck. I can fix this because this hand is just good enough to where I can even misplay once and still end on a crazy board. But yeah, Dissipator, summon back the Triple Burst, you know the classic, and then sack the Dissipator for the Lubellion, and then Lubellion is going to place Beast. And here's the cool part, Seyfert will send the Lubellion on field. This is how you search Levineer, and this is how I can Atum summoning Seyfert basically lets you pseudo consistently search Levineer as a hand rip in their very good hands, such as this one. So it's not just like a random one-off you draw into or add off chaos space. You can search Levineer as part of your combo if you run like the Black Meteor Atum package and Seyfert and stuff like that. So now I will banish 3 Levineer, put can't loop them for 1, link all these 3 into Borland, and here I made up for I misplayed earlier because I missed a body on the field, so I had to make Borland without an extra body to negate. But Seyfert has another effect where I can Seyfert put back, add back the Levineer from grave, and then Levineer special summon is not a once per turn. So I just could banish 3 extra cards to summon Levineer, and now I can negate the Levineer to bring back the Tracer, and now I can use Tracer effect to pop the Levineer and go into Savage Dragon. So in fact, this is you could argue this line was a bit more optimal because I get to keep Boot Sector launch as well, at the cost of like my Seyfert and like banishing 3 extra cards on Levineer. But yeah, and then end phase, Beast, place Regain, and then add Baldrake. So yeah, again, optimal maximum end board: Seal, Borland, Savage, Beast, Regain, Bystial Surge off Magnum, plus my opponent, once they summon something, the Dissipator comes back for another interruption. Again, too many interruptions to count. Our opponent also is on 4 cards, so yeah, my opponent also got hand loop for 1. So my opponent, they're on Ancient Gear, and they activate this card that I read as basically Ancient Gear lost, like branded lost for Ancient Gear. So of course I'm gonna negate that, and they let that go through, and then use Ancient Gear Advance to add a Catapult, and here they're gonna use Droplets. They didn't want to use Droplets to make the Ancient Gear Fortress go through. Seems a bit weird, although I suppose I could have just popped it with Branded Beast anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah, they're gonna negate my Borland and my Seals, and then use Catapult to pop and then search, and then summon Ancient Gear Dharc Golem, and here, I get the my turn. It's your turn, but in reality, it's my turn. So, Seals, I just tribute itself, doesn't really matter, and then Baldrake special itself banishing Lubelia, and then Regain is also summoning back the Dissipator. So, yeah, Baldrake summons, and then Seals gets negated. Regain summons back Dissipator. They get their Dharc Golems searched, it's whatever, and now the Seals effect, because attributed itself, will summon out a Druiswurm from deck, and then Regain can put back the Lubellion for another draw. So just infinite cards drawn to the max C, called by the grave their Ancient Gear Commander, and then just drop their max C, and they have one play left, which is going to Typhon, and then Typhon gets... So there's like 5 ways to deal with Typhon in this hand, but yeah, I can just simply Baldrake sack Druiswurm, and then deal with the Typhon, and then yeah, that's... I mean, look, they probably did pretty well considering they were playing the Ancient Gear. Like, there was no deck that was really gonna break that board, but at least they managed to fight through half of my negates. It's just you know, there's just, you don't have enough cards in hand to deal with that board. Nobody does. So most of this video was focused on like sequencing and how to combo with this deck. I do have a couple actual games with this deck as well. So here, my opponent's going first, and this hand is complete fucking... Like, I literally don't have a play, so I'm like, I need this match to resolve, which is not up to me a lot of the times, unfortunately, and my opponent sets 4, so I'm like, well, that's fantastic. I don't even get a chance to draw out of this. So I draw into a Druiswurm, and my opponents use Power Sink Stone. More like Power Stink Stoner, am I right, guys? But yeah, they're on Lab, so actually this makes me feel very good, because Lab is one of the easiest matchups for this deck, just because they kind of just get shut down by Bystials, even if they're playing the stun version, which they are. But yeah, they're gonna welcome Lab, and I'm gonna maxi that, you know, try and draw something. And they're... Unfortunately, I'm not gonna activate any effects this turn, because yeah, they're gonna summon out Ariana, which just gets imperm, and now because Power Sink Stone has 2 counters, now I'm not gonna be able to get any monster effects. So I'm like, I pass. I legit just pass. I'm like, bro, you can't kill me. You're on Floodgate Lab. Like, if I could have summoned Druiswurm and beat over the Ariana, I would have, but I didn't even have a way to, you know, even safely do that. Like, I could use my quick launch to link into Striker and then banish my Tracer for the Druiswurm, though that doesn't feel that great. So I'm like, I'll give it one more turn, see what you can do, and they're go Crimson Gaia. So this is Resonator Lab, and Soul Resonator. I obviously you ash the Soul Resonator because Soul Resonator is going to add the trap card that banishes. They're going to add Fiend this trap card, Phoenix Golem, which is basically just banishes the monster. So yeah, I denied them that with the ash, and then they're going to attack. And now Power Sink Stone goes back to no counters, and now I'm like, now that the Power Sink Stone resets, I'm thinking I have a chance to potentially play, and I discard Lubellion, and turns out I don't have a chance to play because they have Max C. So even though I have the Atum Max C, I can't activate any more monsters effects because Power Sink Stone at this point is going to be at 2 counters, one for the Max C and one for Lubellion. So yeah, although right now I do kind of want to like clear their board because I don't want to be pressured this often, so I'm gonna summon Wyverburster, linking the Striker, no effect obviously, but Wyverburster, it only negates stuff on the field, so Wyverburster still gets me to search Collapse Surfer, and then I'm gonna summon Collapse Surfer and put back the Wyverburster, draw a card, get all this value for free, draw into Regain, amazing draw, enter battle phase, attack over the Ariana and attack over the Soul Resonator, main phase 2, go into Seals, and then search the Wyverburster as follow-up for next turn. And yeah, Seals is very good in this matchup because it resets the Power Sink Stones so that I can potentially summon a Magnamut on their turn and then, you know, get more value off the Regain and then, you know, actually get the Magnamut effect. Although they activate Black Allows on the Magnamut so that I can't summon at the end. I don't know So like they were very aggressive. This Black Gold Labs. They used Black Gold Labs just to get in the grave so that they can call Hieratic Seal. So this forces me to chain seals effect because I'm not going to use it after. So it's still good for me because seals will still bounce the Power Sink Stone, which forces them to not have it live for their turn. So I at least get one end phase, and of course they draw into another Maxi. Man, imagine if I had went first, I would have gotten destroyed by these Maxis. But thank God. And yeah, Crimson Gaia is gonna add back the Soul Resonator, and now they get to add their Banish Trap. Actually, no, they add It can also add furnitures, by the way. So that means they probably already have the trap, and now the furniture is also gonna shut down my furniture with Power Sink Stone. Also is this kind of a lock, but because they control the monster now, I am going to summon Magnamut in the end phase, banishing seals. Give them an extra card, that's fine. Magnamut, regain and Magnamut, so regain puts back the seals for a draw, and then Magnamut adds Levineer, so now I'm just outvaluing their max C, and with my cards, because dragons, you know, you get into a grind game with dragons, even just because of the regain, and like the Bystials, you just outgrind any deck. So they're gonna flip Power Sink Stone, and now they're going to chain their lab, their furniture. So now Power Sink has one counter. So now my Chaos Dragon Levineer can't activate, because if it activates, it's just gonna get negated. And now they're also gonna banish my Magnamut, so I can't summon Lubellion off it and place Beast. But I am gonna put Lubellion back. I am gonna put the Magnamut back just for a draw. Now they get all this stuff back, and they think they're getting a next turn out of this. I know both their sets. Their sets are dead. So here's the one problem with Power Sink Stone, okay? So Lubellion, add Magnamut, okay? Special Wyverburster, normal, special, enter battle phase, special. Very nice Power Sink Stone. Nice Power Sink Stone you got there. It's really gonna, it's gonna save you from getting beat down by these huge ass dragons. So yeah, this is a plan B with dragons under a skill drain like effect. Just beat, your monsters are huge. Just beat face. No thought. Just a big monster do damage. So here is a game where spoilers, I don't full combo, even though this hand's pretty good. So I'm gonna normal summon Black Metal and go into Striker Dragon, Striker, Black Metal Chainlink 1, Striker Chainlink 2, and my Striker's gonna get ashed, so that's kind of rough. And then add Black Metal, and then special Black Metal, summon back, or special Red Eyes, summon back Black Metal, and then I was like, so I could go for Romulus and add Striker, but I don't have a way to summon the Striker from my hand. So this was a hand where potentially it was correct to chain block the Striker Dragon. This is one of those hands where I would have preferred the Striker Dragon to resolve, just because I already had the extender in hand of Red Eyes Black Meteor. So if they had ashed my Black Metal, and if I had let them ash my Black Metal, I would have still been able to add Spoot Sector, Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, send Driver, go Romulus, pitch Gamma for Ravine, add Striker Dragon, combo that way. So that was probably a sequencing error on my part to not playing around Ash. So this is, but I mean, at the end of the day, Hieratic Seal passed. This is still an FTK. Let me show you. So opponent goes King Sark, discard Meta Noise, send Imseti, special Imseti, and then special Seamare. Again, not respecting the seals, not entering battle phase and respecting the seals. You know, that's their mistake. So they're gonna Seamare and then go Havness, fuse with the Share in the hand. That's an interesting choice of fusion. I personally would have rather kept the Sharon, but anyways, this Kid Callus is getting Veiler to hell. So yeah, then they have one card in hand, and they're going to use Grief. So their last card in hand was Grief. And here's the cool play about seals. So I'm going to tribute chain seals to the Grief. Okay, so now seals is off the field, and now Seal, I'm gonna bounce back the Kikkalos, and then Grief. Because Seal is mandatory, Seal is always chain link 1 versus a optional effect, like a Rhino Heart, for example. So Now, because Seal is Chainlink 1, Rhinoheart is Chainlink 2, my field is clear now. I haven't summoned off the Seals yet. I get the Gamma, their effect. I get the, basically, Seals with Gamma. If you can time it properly, you can get a free, you can make your Gamma live on any optional trigger effect, if you, get the Seals off. Because the Seals will most likely be placed on the Chainlink 1, because it is a mandatory effect, so most of the time, it will go on a lower Chainlink, which leaves their effect to be on a higher Chainlink to be negated by Gamma, while you still don't have a monster on the field, because you haven't successfully summoned from Seal yet. So now I get to negate with Gamma, and I get this summon from my deck, which gets me a Magnamud. And now they can use Umseti, which I don't really care, because Magnamud gets me the Surge. That's all I care about. And they're gonna, you know, pop the Magnamud. Whatever, they have no more plays. And now I get to search Seyfert in the end phase. And now I have full combo, and they have nothing. And they realize that, so yeah, that's and Seal, unironically an FTK. There's no meme in that. We're just saying the truth. So I think this deck has a lot of untapped potential, you know, for like a Duelist Cup, and it literally just won Euro Challenger Cup as well. So there's that. Maybe not this exact build. I'll probably fine tune this down a little bit, but yeah, there's only really one main thing about this meta that's maybe not as favorable to this deck, which is that there is a deck that is not really hurt that badly by Bystials. Bystials hit a lot of the meta. They hit Tier, they hit Branded, they hit like Voiceless Voice. Those are very popular decks. But the one deck it doesn't hit, unfortunately, oh yeah, and U-Bell, obviously, it also hits U-Bell. But the one deck it doesn't hit is Fire King Snake Eyes. And, you know, it's totally not like that's like the best deck right now or anything. So maybe if something happens to that deck, then this deck can really, you know, even move up a tier and join like the top decks in this format. But yeah, and it would really help if the best deck in the format also cared more about getting hit by Bystials than it does right now. But maybe you'll see this you'll see a Dragon Link a bit in stage 2 of the Duelist Cup if you plan to join that. So good luck if you are.